Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wisdom from the Field. I hope you had a good Yontif. I am sitting here today with Rabbi Avi Rabin from Chabad of West Hills, California. Welcome, Rabbi Rabin.
Thank you for having me, Twiki. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful. So when I reached out to you, I wanted to have a conversation. It's that time of year. Many shluchim are focusing on end-of-year campaigns, and I would love to farbrengen with you about that. But before we get into any of that, could you share with us a little bit? Who are you? What's Chabad of West Hills like? How long have you been there?
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Johannesburg, South Africa, and myself and my wife moved out to West Hills. We're celebrating 20 years now. We've been here.
Wow.
Feels like 5 minutes, but it's 20 years. And Baruch Hashem, we've built a beautiful community here. We have a full Chabad, so starting from Hebrew school to seating, old people, young people, shul, and everything in between. So we're our own Maisid, and Baruch Hashem has been wonderful, a big schus.
Wow. Oh, I guess to dive right into end of year campaigns, what place does the end of year campaign hold in your general fundraising? Like, how's it fit in the picture of your bigger, fundraising of the year?
Sure. So what we did is I got involved with the matching campaigns. It happened to be a Shliach in the area, knew the founder of charity, was family of his. So we did one of the first charity campaigns back in the day. I think it was for $24,000.
How many years back is this?
Whenever charity started, I don't know. I think we were like the third or fourth campaign. So it was like just an idea back then. I have no idea. It's a good question, Taka. I should look it up.
15 years ago? 10 years ago?
No idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere in this over the past 20 years.
It's all one big blur, so I'm not sure exactly. So we started doing it as just a standalone fundraiser. Like every year I went out, trying to find new donors to be the matches, $5,000 matches or $10,000 matches or whatever the numbers were. And then I'm not sure how many years ago, probably 7, 8, 10 years ago, Rabbi Avi Rabin from Chabad of Northridge gave me the idea. He did something where he, instead of just doing a smaller campaign, he started using it as an annual campaign. Now, it's two completely different ways of doing an end-of-year campaign, and each way is good. It's not one way is better or worse for a shliach. The regular way of doing it as a standalone fundraiser is you go out, you try and find matches. You don't use your annual donors. Try and find new people to give you X amount of dollars, and then you try and raise matching money from the community. That's wonderful. That's how but it's pretty hard to find big money like that because most of your people are already giving you money. So we wanted to do a larger campaign, and I can talk more to that part of a matching campaign than just the regular matching campaign. So we went to a larger campaign because there's numerous advantages to doing a larger campaign. Number one is I can go to the people that are already giving me money, and I can try and ask them for a bigger gift because someone's already giving 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000. You can go and ask them to say, could you do 20,000 as part of a larger campaign? When you're fundraising for the day of, you can also ask people for bigger money because now instead of doing a $30,000 campaign or a $70,000 campaign, now you're doing a $300,000 campaign, $400,000. It makes more sense to somebody to give $1,000 to that campaign than to give it to a smaller campaign. And then there's a third way of doing things within this campaign is because it's being used as a annual campaign. I can also go to smaller donors and ask them to give money monthly. Let's just say $100 a month, and we can count that towards the day of donations. So it's really a little bit complex. You want me to get into all the details of how it goes?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But if we could take a step back for a moment,
Sure.
Could you say a little more about what do you mean by the second alternative way where it's part of the larger annual campaign? What do you mean by that?
What that means is that okay. So there's a big pitfall that shluchim could run into with these big campaigns. You see other shluchim doing 100,000, 200,000, $500,000 campaigns, you're like, I look like a schmendrick. I'm just doing a $50,000 campaign. So what then Shluchim try and do is they try to do a $200,000 campaign. They go to their balabatim that are already giving them money. Then they use that money towards their $100,000 or $200,000 campaign. The day of, they raise, let's say they're doing a 1-to-4 match. They raise 30,000. They shtup in another 20,000 just to make it look good. Everybody thinks they've raised $200,000, but Bepoil, all they actually brought in extra was a little bit more in matching campaigns, maybe, and maybe 30,000 the day of. And then everybody in town thinks that they're rich because now they've just made $200,000 in one day. Now that's a very big problem because you didn't bring in $200,000, and your donors think you brought in $200,000, and now you've given off this perception that you're rich, but Bepoil, you're not rich, or you're broke. You know what I mean? And you brought in 30,000. Everybody thinks you brought in 200,000. That's a problem.
Right.
So what we did was we wanted to leverage a larger campaign. So what we did was we went and asked our annual donors that are already giving money. Now but then I've got the problem that now I'm using the money that I raised during the year, and it seems like I'm so rich. So what we did was we didn't just do a $200,000 campaign. We did a $400,000 campaign.
Okay.
And we clearly marked it as an annual campaign. Everyone should understand this is not a one-time thing that came in. Oh, on December 12th or whatever it is in Kislev, right? All of a sudden, Chabad Avi Sales got this whiff of cash of $400,000, and now everybody's like, okay, the rabbis can go on vacation. It's very clear to everybody that it's an annual campaign, which means the money's coming in annual over the year. It's not all on one day. So we went out to the annual donors. Now, in order to get...
So just to make sure I understand clearly, so you're presenting it as this is what we're raising over the year. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so like this is the campaign of the year from what
this is the Gala campaign or whatever. This is your big one-time campaign of the year.
Right.
Okay. Right. And so we went to the biggest. Why do we do that? Because then I can go to the donors that are already giving $10,000 a year. Now it's a little hard to show up to a guy and say, "Hey, you're already giving $10,000 a year. Hey, why don't you want to do 15,000?" So then there's the broad method of, you sell bricks or you sell. The key over here is you want people to be part of a larger. You want people to understand they're part of a larger
picture
budget. Exactly. I'm a big. You need to know the Shliach needs to know their own budget because it gives you the confidence to go fundraise, and the donors need to understand the budget. Now, it doesn't mean they need to understand every dollar, and doesn't mean the Shliach have to understand every dollar. What you need to know is your Chabad is costing you $400,000 or $650,000 a year. You can't be. It's be'erech, an amount. So it gives you the opportunity to go to the Balabat and say, listen, our budget every year is $700,000. It's $1 million a year, let's say, right? We're doing this end of year campaign for $400,000. Let's just take numbers. Let's use simple numbers. Our budget every year is $1 million. This end of year campaign is going to be a $400,000 campaign. I'm asking you already give 10,000. Can you increase to 15,000? And now what you do is you say your 50,000 is going towards the $1 million, right? So they understand how they're part of a bigger picture. Not only that, by you giving an extra $5,000 this year, now our matching, right, the part that we're going to get people to match could be more because now we have more in raised money. You understand? Now, if you go to all your different donors and you try and get more money in match money, you're trying to increase your annual donors if you can. Not every year you can match your donors. In fact, I found that it's been pretty hard to raise donors on an annual basis, at least for me. But you can raise more money from your annual donors. And then on the day of, you can also ask people to give a little bit more. But I believe it's very important, and it should be clear that it's only you're raising X amount of money towards a bigger, if it's possible, towards a bigger budget. And it's also very important for people to know that it's not all coming in on one day. So it's not
all coming in.
No, it's not all coming in on one. No,
right.
No, not at all. It depends. Some people give their annual donation in December. It's nice. Some people commit to monthly. It's not all coming in on one day. So basically, what you've done, is this clear? I don't know if it's
yeah.
Ask questions if it's not clear. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate the problem of people thinking that Chabad Avi Sales got $360,000 on one day when we didn't. We're trying to use annual money. It's kind of like we're trying to do. It's like it's a little bit like Atzmos. We're doing Linda Hanim Noise over here. It's a balancing. Right? We're trying to use our annual donors, but not let people think that we're too rich. And we're trying to increase the annual donors by them feeling part of something bigger. And then at the same time, what I found was a good excuse, which is a key of fundraising, is it's also part of the bigger budget. So I'm mixing in two ideas of it. Bichlal, when you fundraise from annual donors, they should know better what your budget is. You can present the budget. In all my years of doing this, the budget can be very simple, by the way. It doesn't have to be a whole profit and loss. They have, 7 lines of income, and they can have, 12 lines of expenses, general office expenses, etc., yada, yada, yada. In all my years of doing this, all the batim that have given money, nobody ever asked me any questions on the budget. The only ones that asked questions didn't end up donating. That's very important that you have it there so that you look, there's accountability. You understand? You know what you're talking about. That's number one. Number two is, I'm a believer that the Shliach himself needs to know the budget, because you need to know what you're fundraising. When you go into a meeting and you're like, you yourself don't know if you need $50,000 or another $100,000. You just know you need money. It's not very helpful. You need to have the confidence to say, I'm asking you, Tzviki, for $15,000, because in my mind, I know that's going into, they said that I need another $200,000 for the year. So it gives the Shliach himself confidence that they understand they're fundraising for something real. It's not just all chalaimas. So having this campaign, I'm mixing two ideas over here, they're not dependent on each other. One is, when you go fundraise, I believe you need to understand your annual budget. You need to be asking people for your annual budget, and you need to have confidence in your annual budget. You need to feel safe about that, so that when you're asking with confidence. You're not asking like, hey, it would be nice if you did 15,000, but I really have no idea that's going to help me, or if I'm still dead. Like, I don't even know if that's, I don't really know where I'm standing in the world. Number two is, when I do my campaign, so I'm kind of like using my matching campaign as a chelek of my annual campaign. So when people give money, people always want to know they're giving to something, right? They want to know you're giving to a cause. Here you get two things. One is, I'm part of the annual gift. So I'm giving my 5,000 or my 10,000 or my 25,000, whatever, because it's going to be used as a matching campaign, right? Also, I understand it as part of the bigger picture of what why that my Chabad rabbi needs money for his budget. Does that make sense? So it's like a
Yeah.
double. You're giving people a double. Their money's going to like a double, not a double cause, but they understand why their money is important. Now, this is a very important idea, because in the past, when I first moved down to Shliach, I get very upset. Like, somebody gives 5,000, 10,000, even $1,000 a year. Then the next year, you got to go and explain to them again, hey, can you give the money again? When I ask for money, I'm trying to explain to people that I'm relying on you, and I don't try to explain. I say it. The Chabad house needs to have financial security. We need to know what we can rely on this year and what we can rely on next year. What are you able to give for this year and also for next year? So when I come to you next year, you're not like, oh my God, the rabbi's back again. I just gave him last year. It's clear.
Right.
Therefore, when Magid David Adom comes to you, or when whatever, I don't know, the National Fund, or whatever, another local synagogue comes to the donor, he's like, I'm already committed to Chabad for 5,000. In the beginning, I had this, God raised money. God's like, I'm sorry, I'm already committed. I'm like, what do you mean you're already committed? I had you in my house Friday night. I love you. I'm bringing you Mishloach Manas. You're already committed. Like, I've committed my whole life to you, and you tell me you're committed to planting trees in Israel. Like, that's not very helpful. So I realized I needed to be the guy that he committed to. So being part of an annual campaign, and being part of, I want an annual campaign. Number two is part of my annual budget. You understand that I am relying on you, Tzviki. This is not a secret, by the way. Shluchim are like scared to tell people this, like that we need money. No, Balamatim want to know that the money is going to a cause, and they want to know where it's, the bigger picture, and they want to know that they're needed. So it's not a secret. Yes, I raise money every year, and yes, I am relying on you. And what are you comfortable to do every year towards our shul? And I'm going to be relying on you. And what I try and do is, in a perfect world, is if somebody says I'm committing to you, let's keep using the number 10,000. So best scenario is actually monthly. They'll give it to me monthly. You would think, isn't it better to get a $10,000 check? I love getting $10,000 checks. The problem is next December, I need to go and fundraise that $10,000. I still need to call them again, and I'm on spilkers, till I get that again. Yes, they know I'm coming to them, and yes, they know I need them. So number one is I prefer the most is monthly on a credit card. Even though I pay the 3%, I'll pay the 3% happily. Second best is get a check right there and then, right? But those two are pretty close to each other. They're both
Right.
good, okay? Number three is the commitment for next year. If he says next year I'll do it, I try and have a conversation and say when next year is good for you. Like, you want to do it in May and December? Do you want to? Basically, the point is, once you're doing surgery, do the surgery. The conversation of money and when the person's giving money is uncomfortable. So once you're talking about the money, try and get clarity on the money. So in a perfect world, if the person says, Rabbi, okay, I'll do another 2,000 this year, and I'm in for 10,000 next year. If you can, without being a chazer, but it makes sense, is to say when next year is good for you. Would you like me to come back with April next year? Would you like me to come back to you maybe Pesach and Rosh Hashanah? I'll come to you and you'll give 5,000, 5,000. Maybe you'll give 10,000. December next year, when's good for you? And then what is the best thing to do, which is what I don't do, but it doesn't mean it's not the best thing to do, is that actually afterwards you send an email clarifying in writing, and you say, dear Tzviki, thank you so much for your 2,000, your extra 2,000 this year, and your pledge for 10,000 next year. As we discussed, I'll come back to you Pesach time for 5,000 and December for 5,000. That's the best thing to do, to get it in writing. If you can. Why I don't do that? Till today, I'm insecure, so I don't do it. Doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it. I should be doing it. But the point is that once you're doing the surgery, then you know what you can be dependent on for the next year. So it's not necessarily dependent only on end of year, but when you're doing end of year fundraising now towards this campaign, you can use this idea towards trying to
The
get people
coming year.
basis and also trying to lock them in for future years.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I never heard that about asking them explicitly for the coming year. I think that's beautiful.
Otherwise, you
But
don't
also,
know. But if somebody says, I'll
right,
give you $10,000 next year, now you got to re-fundraise the money next year. You got to
right,
go and ask, hey, by the way, do you remember the last year in December, like 9 months ago, we spoke and you were going to do 10? And the guy's like, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I just gave 5,000 to the AJU, whatever, or to Israel. Yeah, it needs to be clear, basically, as much as possible. And that's how real places fundraise, by the way. Real places, like big organizations, they'll sometimes even send people like I forgot. It's not a promissory note, but it's like a donor's, like a commitment kind of note, where people commit to a certain amount. And
right,
by the way, it makes
right,
sense. Nothing to be embarrassed of. Like, if you're running a proper organization and you have a budget that you have to cover every year, you need to know what people are giving you. You can't just run your chabaras on chaloimus, right? It's not helpful to
right,
like say,
right,
I think Bob Cohen's gonna do 5,000. I don't know, but I'm scared to ask him. And I think the other guy's gonna do 15,000, but I don't know. Like, maybe he will, maybe no. In the conversation, which by the way, which leads me back to monthly donations. Those I believe are like the best. Because once you're in a monthly, you're generally you're going.
it's continuous, right,
Yes, the first year you don't get the $10,000 check right away, but by the next year you've received your $10,000, and January, Feb, it's upkeep now. It's just you don't have to
right.
ask for that $10,000 check again. I had an absolute ADHD moment over here, Vicky. What was I saying? Oh, monthly donations. What was I saying about monthly donations?
We're talking about
This is so me
clarifying for the
ADHD.
future year.
Eh? Oh, for the what I try and say to people about monthly donations. Sorry, back on track.
Yeah,
Is that I tell people straight up, and we have a certain amount of expenses every month. The best thing that could happen to Chabad Boy Still is that we can know on the first of every month how much money we have coming in. So if you could do a monthly donation, that's the best thing for me. People love hearing that because that makes sense. Like, there's nothing to be embarrassed of. Like, that makes sense.
right.
So I'm asking you to do it on a monthly basis so that I can know every month what I can rely on. So it's the same nakuda. You understand? Whether it's asking for monthly or annually or both, the vart is that it's very important for Balabatim to know that you are dependent on them, you're relying on them, and that they're which leads to that they are a partner with you, right? They're not just a random guy. You're not a schnorrer. You know the difference between a schnorrer and a fundraiser.
Mhm.
You know this difference. A schnorrer is trying to get like a one-time donation. He's a schnorrer. Sees you in shul, can you give me $18, $36, $100? You don't want to be a schnorrer. You don't want to be a one-time donation. You want to be a fundraiser. Fundraiser is you partner with people. You build alliances and relationships with people. And then now they are a partner with you and they understand where they're giving their money to. They're partnering with you. It's not a one-time donation. They understand what you're doing. They understand you need them. They understand you're coming back annually. This is not a schnorrer. You're not a schnorrer. This took me many years. This is a pretty
Mm.
ADHD conversation. You'll have to bear with me.
This is
But
all good. This is all good.
took me years. That switch took me many years in my
Mm.
shlichus to turn that switch off. I felt like a schnorrer for many years.
Was that something um just on the inside of how you felt about it, or also like how you spoke with people about it?
But that's how I feel inside. That's how I'm talking to people, right?
Right, right.
I didn't have the confidence to ask for annually, and I didn't have this idea. I didn't think that I was worthy, and I didn't have a proper budget for years. I didn't understand all of this stuff. Um, so I felt like a schnorr every time. I felt like I'm asking you like for a one-time gift. And I was very insecure about my fundraising. Then I realized, no, which is another whole conversation we could have if you want now or another time, about that this is the way the Rebbe set things up, and you have to realize that you're a Shliach of the Rebbe, and that what you're doing is just as important as sending money to the IDF to buy drones or to help kids with that are sick. That we are repairing the world spiritually. Was to get within myself the confidence that I am a real cause. um, and then you have to ask people to partner with you, and they needed one of the things of partnering is it's ongoing. It's not a one-time thing. This is a partnership that we're developing. So that's what I use. That's a general call in fundraising, and that's what I use towards my end of year campaigns.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I want to get back to the general conversation we had, but so specifically on this topic of, seeing donors as partners, bringing them in as partners. Do you do anything post their gift or post their commitment throughout the year that gives them that experience of, I'm not just giving a donation to, a cause that I'm not connected with, but like I'm actually a partner here.
Yeah. So first of all, one of the most important things about fundraising is that people give money to people, not to causes.
Mm.
Right. I believe that in the real in the fundraising world out there, somebody could be fundraising for the Yana Machlad Society of Minneapolis, and then they move to whatever I don't know, another illness, and they go to the same donors. Like it's not like someone's giving the money
Mm.
to that hospital. They give it to the donor, to the fundraiser, and wherever they
They
are.
trust they trust the fundraiser for
Yes.
the
So
causes
people
that
give
they're
money to people, not to organizations only. Obviously, if you're raising money for, I don't know, the one-footed, zebras of Madagascar, even if you're best friends with a donor, he's not going to give you money. But as long as your cause makes sense, right? That's who you're going to give to. So people give money to people. So it's very important that you keep a personal relationship with your donors throughout the year. How do you do that? You shluchim know how to do that. You invite them for Shabbos. You call them once a month or once every 2 months to wish them good Shabbos. You send them a good Shabbos text, however often, once a week, once every 2 weeks. You try to reach out to them on a yard side or on a birthday if you can. You invite them. I'm a big believer in inviting them to events. Um, but it needs to be clear that you're not inviting them so you can fill your room. You're inviting them because you want them to be part of your program, right? So I'm constantly trying to keep the relationship alive, so that when I ask for money, asking for a donation, it's not like all of a sudden Rabbi Avi flies in. I haven't heard from him for 9 months, and now all of a sudden he's flying in. I'm in touch with him all the time. As far as an actual gift, once a year we send out a gift to our high partners or anybody that gives X amount. I think about $1,800 a year. We send out a book every year.
nice.
In the early years, it was just a random book. Like every year, I was looking for a new book. It was like Towards a Meaningful Life, and then I sent out all the new gem books. They're great, the Hulu. And then I realized I don't know if people are reading the books or not. Some people are, some people aren't. So I thought I'd rather do something that's more meaningful. I started sending out the last 3 years. 3 years ago, I sent out a siddur. I sent out the beautiful siddur from it's I forgot the name of the publisher, but it's Moshe Weiss. You know, he what's it called, Achai or Hech, I forgot what they called. They have a beautiful siddur with explanations. It's amazing. My community is very fry, so the siddur has beautiful explanations and translation of it. Then the next year, I sent out the Tehillim that they did, which is also a beautiful Tehillim. It's a very nice, it's a beautiful book also. Then this past year, I sent out the Chabad House Chumash that we use in our shul, published by Chabad of California. Sent out the small one. It's quite expensive. But I feel at least now people are getting Sfarim in their house, you know, so even if they're not going to touch them, they have a Siddur in their house, they have a Tehillim in their house, they have a Chumash in their house. I don't know what I'm gonna do next year. It would be nice if I could figure out a Tanya somehow. That's user friendly. But I do send that out, and then with that, I write a personal note. I do that around about high holidays. I used to do that in January after my annual campaign, but then I realized it's too close to the campaign, and then 3 weeks later they're getting Mishloach Manas, and then 3 weeks later they're getting matzahs. It's a bit of a waste of a gift. So I do it around high holidays, which is more meaningful, I find. And I write a personal note, like a thank you card that goes in the box with it. Dear Tzviki, thank you so much. Hope you and your wife are doing well. Hope life is going whatever. Wishing you a year of blessings and joy. We package it very nicely with nice. It looks like it's a professional gift. Now we send that out once a year to the donor. But more important than that is being in touch with people. That's what I've been. Right. Just being in touch and showing people you care. And the best way to show people you care is actually to care. So, yeah, it comes across. So really care, you know, really understand these people are supporting you. Realize that this is your job to care about people, and make it a focus of your life to make sure you're in touch with your balabatim. And that shift in headspace will change from like a chore, like, oh my God, to like, this is something I wanted. This is part of my life. This is part of my job. Is keeping in touch with people. And once I'm in touch with people, then they'll want to continue to support.
Wow. Beautiful. Would you say that, like, when you made that shift, you know, like you said, from one-time ask to, you know, bringing people in as partners, that people's giving were impacted, gave more, you know, became more committed?
100%. Not even a shyly. Yeah, absolutely. There's two beautiful stories that changed my life that I like to share.
Yeah, share, please.
Connected to these ideas. So the first one is so I was so first and foremost an idea before the two stories. The first idea was I felt very insecure. I'm raising money for a Chabad house to buy cholent and to pay for my kids, you know, my car and my kids' schooling. People are raising money, you know, RCCS is raising money to give money to people that are kids that are not well. You know, it's like soldiers are out there and they need like drones, you know, like I'm buying tefillin, you know, leaflets and we're making, you know, women are coming and drinking wine and doing painting night. Like, it didn't feel like I was the same level of necessity of receive donations. It took me many years to come around, and the way that my brain works, everybody's brain works differently, was I came to the realization that I didn't set up shlichus. The Rebbe set up shlichus, and the Rebbe set up shlichus that we need to fundraise. So obviously, to the Rebbe, this is like the most important cause in the world. Because otherwise the Rebbe wouldn't have set it up, right? The Rebbe would have said, Avi Rabin, go out, start a shul, and fundraise for RCCS, fundraise money for the drones for Israel, fundraise money for orphans in Israel. Like, the Rebbe didn't say that. The Rebbe said the most important thing is for you to go out and do shlichus, and you got to fundraise for your meisid, and you're bringing Mashiach, v'chulu v'chulu. So to me, what a big mind shift number one is that this is the most important thing in the world because the Rebbe said so. That was number one for me. That's kind of what changed my head. Like, how do I know I'm important? Because the Rebbe said so. Oh, RCCS, anybody else is helping people that are sick? Fine, I'm helping people spiritually. So they might have a lot of money in the bank. They might be very healthy, but spiritually they're not. So my job is not on the physical plane, it's on the spiritual plane, and it's important because the Rebbe said so. That was number one for me. Number two for me is that there's a famous story that the Rebbe was walking down Insta Parkway in the early days, and the administrators of the yeshiva, the local yeshiva, whether it was Ali Torah or the Babich yeshiva, or whatever, were looking at an old bus. And the Rebbe came past him and says, "What are you looking at?" They said, "We need to buy a new bus for the yeshiva." You heard the story?
Not
That was the
familiar.
murder to my son. We need to buy a new bus for the yeshiva. And the Rebbe said to them, "But this is an old bus. This is, yeshiva the kids that are going to yeshiva should go on a beautiful bus. Why even get an old broken bus?" So they said, "Rebbe, we can't even afford the broken bus. What do you mean? You go buy a better bus?" And the Rebbe said to them, and I'm paraphrasing, and I've heard the story, so I'm not telling you this is how the story goes, but this is the story that I heard. The Rebbe said to them, because you don't have space in your budget, basically in your head, for a more expensive bus, that's why you can't even afford the poor bus, the broken bus. If in your head you believe you could afford the more expensive bus, then in your budget you'd have money for a more expensive bus. So
Wow.
you have to realize that we have to get ourselves out of the scarcity mentality or being poor. You got to get yourself. Number one is you deserve the money. Number two is you don't deserve only just a little bit of money. You should live a good life. Your Chabad house should be beautiful. Don't ever want the beautiful Chabad houses, beautiful mikvahs. Shliach doesn't have to be broke. You're allowed to live a nice. I'm not saying that you should shluchim should live off the fat of the land, but there's nothing. You don't have to be poor. That is what I'm trying to say. And number three is that a shliach once came to the Rebbe. The third story is shliach once came to the Rebbe and he said to the Rebbe that he doesn't have money. He's broke. He's got no money. It's over. So the Rebbe said to him. "How much are you earning a month?" So he told him the amount. The Rebbe said, "Can you survive on this money every month?" So Shliach said, "No. Even if I were to pay myself a salary that I'm not even paying myself, I still wouldn't come out." So the Rebbe said, "The first thing you need to do is you need to give yourself a raise." So he said, the Rebbe says, "What do you mean give myself a raise? I don't have money to pay myself the small amount of money that I can't even live on, and you're telling me to give a raise. I don't a raise from where?" So the Rebbe said to him, he said, "I'll tell you why you need to give yourself a raise. You need to take enough money that you can live every month. Because if you're not taking enough money to live every month, then even if you hit your goals and you raise your budget, you're still going to be broke. And so there's no motivation to even hit your budget and to even get reach your goals, because either way you're broke. So the first thing you need to do is you need to pay yourself a salary that you can live on. Now you'll be motivated to go and put money in the bank of Chabad so that Chabad can pay you a livable wage." And I saw this changed my life dramatically. I wasn't paying myself enough because I was trying to make sure Chabad had money, and every shliach goes through this. I was on this never-ending cycle of I need to pay myself more money, but then Chabad has less money, so then I have to raise. If I pay myself $2,000 more a month, now I need $24,000 a month for Chabad. Where am I going to find $24,000 a month? Okay, so then I'm not going to pay myself $22,000 more. So I'm going to go broke. So it was just this never-ending cycle of not paying myself enough, and it gets overwhelming. And then eventually, whatever, I had a friend who helped me, and I gave myself a raise, and he held my hand when I logged into my banking, and I increased my monthly deposit. I was scared to do it, but Pearl makes a huge difference, because if you can survive every month, then there's a reason to go out and fundraise more money for Chabad. But if you're dying every month in any case, you don't have the motivation to put enough money in the bank in Chabad, because in any case, it's not helping me. So those three ideas really were transformational in my personal fundraising life. One
Wow.
was
So
that my cause is important, right?
because the Rebbe said so.
Because the Rebbe said so. That's the only reason. Otherwise, maybe it is better. Maybe people should be giving their money to RCCS and to Israel and to Yosemim and Talmonas. Maybe it is more important. I don't know. All I know is that the Rebbe sent me here, and the Rebbe told me it's important for me to do the work I'm doing. So fundraising is a part. The way the Rebbe set it up, by the way, the Rebbe set it up that you have to fundraise. This is not a additional thing that we're doing. Same thing as doing mitzvah, right? Mitzvah tefillin or mezuzah or any mitzvah is mitzvah tzedakah. Number two is that you have to broaden your boundary, your mind, right? You have to, which is
that's where it starts.
And then number three is you need to pay yourself enough that you can survive. And by the way, those two last things are very much connected to. It's why you need a budget, a real budget. I'm not talking about. Forget about that. Your balabatim should see a budget. Don't worry about that for right now. You yourself need a budget. You yourself need to know what you need. If you don't know what you need, how are you supposed to
Saying
achieve it?
personally for your
Yes,
family, right?
for your family and your Chabad, and they should be
Right.
broken down. What is personal and what's Chabad? And by the way, you are part of Chabad. Another big, another idea we are bringing now. We're not talking about end of year, but a big thing is in your head. You should view what helped me. I'm not telling anybody what to do. What helped me was I view myself separately to Chabad of West Hills. I work for Chabad of West Hills, and Chabad of West Hills pays me a salary.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm fundraising not for Avi Rabin and not for my kids to
Right.
go to the dentist. When I first moved out, had no money, totally broke. My kids went to the dentist. I'm like, where am I going to find $100 or $180 to pay for my kids' fillings? Oh, okay, calendar campaign's coming up. Let me go try and sell a business card. And in my head, it was like the money goes straight from the guy's $180 straight to the dentist. I felt like a schnorrer. I felt terrible about myself. I'm an employee of Chabad of West Hills. Chabad of West Hills needs money. I fundraise for Chabad of West Hills, and then Chabad of West Hills pays me a salary. How much does Chabad of West Hills pay me a salary? Back to the story of the Rebbe. I
Right.
need to negotiate a salary with Chabad of West Hills that is sustainable for Chabad of West Hills. And a good way to look at this is if you were working for a shul, right? Let's say you had a board, Chas v'shalom lo yaleinu, right? If you imagine you had a board, and you had to get, would you accept this verstunkene salary you're paying yourself for $3,000 a month for you to raise your 4 kids or 5 kids and everything else? Would you say, cool, no problem, I'll work for the next year for 3, or would you really go in and negotiate and figure out what you need every month and say, I'm going to work for this so long as I have enough money to live. I need a little bit of money afterwards to take my wife out to a restaurant or to go on vacation or to buy my kids clothes. Make sure that but if you don't know the numbers, it's all one big Chassidish Malav Malka. Chabad's got a little bit of money. I got a little bit of money. I don't know where the money's coming. I'm trying to fundraise. I don't know how much I need. I don't know how much I don't need. So you need to know your budget in order to know what am I taking, what am I deserving of. That's where the professionalism starts. Until you
Right.
know your real
Right.
budget, you need to know your budget. Forget about the balabatim. In addition, once you know your budget, you will have the confidence to go out and talk to Balabatim because you really understand where the money's coming and where it's going.
Right. Go back to the third story. I think it was the third point. The story that I have about making sure that the shliach gets a proper salary. I think in specifically a shliach who's who is the heart and soul of the maisid, right? As opposed to maybe a rabbi who's being hired. Um, I think it's even more important that the shliach is taken care of, so he could be in the best of headspace, not stressed out, not worried, and that's the best thing for the maisid.
Of
Having
course.
a shliach who's stressed out because he can't take care of his family is worse for the maisid.
100%. If you're not, if you're stressing in most cases, not only are you the most important player on the field, you and your wife are the only players on the field. There's nobody else here that's coming to save you or to do the work, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself, if you don't have the menuchas hanefesh, if you don't have the capacity to think and to live and to not be overly overwhelmed with your life, then who is? So you need to make sure that you're taken care of. It's not a fakir. You're not doing something wrong. It's the right thing to do
Right.
to look
It's
after you.
it's the selfless thing. It's the
Yeah,
selfless thing to take care of yourself.
yeah. And I like that story of the Rebbe because it's mamish. It's this from that story. It appears that's very clearly what the Rebbe is saying. So
Right.
I'm not a mashpia in Lubavitch, and I'm not going to tell you how to the Rebbe's opinions on anything is. But to me, that was very powerful. The Rebbe said, "Look
Wow.
after yourself. If you're not looking after yourself, then
Wow.
no one's going to look after the moisid." Right? It's like when you're on the airplane, you got to put the oxygen on your mouth first, otherwise you can't help
Right.
other
Right.
people. So it
Right.
doesn't help for you to be dying, and then officially you're the guy doing Mivtzoyim and bring Ruknias to your area, but all you can do every day is wake up and freak out about, how broke you are. That's not very helpful.
Right. Beautiful. No, I love that. Thanks for sharing all that. So after the and just going off what you shared all the way at the beginning, but after a shliach gets that clarity of his numbers, what his meisid needs annually, for a salary and for the meisid, etc. Um, what would you say, right? So this is speaking to a shliach who wants to raise more money, who needs to raise more money to be able to bring in, enough money for salary for the meisid to continue and to grow, etc. What can a shliach do to um, expand the numbers that are coming in? Expand the pool of donors, expand the level that donors are giving. Like based on your experience and the things you've learned over the years through trial and error, like after you know your numbers and you know that it's important to be able to take a salary, how do I go and do that? How do I go and turn maybe just getting by into a thriving meisid financially that could support the shliach and support the meisid and continue to grow for years to come?
So good question. So the answer, the way I understand it at the moment is, it happens b'derech mamela. Like how you, if you ask anybody in business, you do a little bit of study on any business and reaching bench. How are you supposed to reach a benchmark? How are you supposed to reach a goal if you don't know what the goal is? Right? I want you to go. I want you to go from point A to point B. I'm not telling you where point B is.
Right.
Well, Avi, that's great that you want me to walk to point B, but you got to tell me where it is. I'm like, no, I'm not telling you where it is. Just want you to get there. And
Right.
then, Avi, do you know where point B is? I'm like, I don't know either, and I can't tell you either. But I want you to get there. How are you supposed to get there? I don't know where I'm going. You have to, in business, everybody will tell you, you have to have goals. This is why this is about a whole conversation about a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. They're not just jokes. They're not like, I know this, and we can say, 5-year plans for the Chabadas. Yeah, because of the 5-year plan. Mashiach's going to be if you don't have, you need to know where you're going, right? So if you don't know what you're trying to fundraise, you don't know what you need, how are you supposed to, it's just practically speaking, how are you supposed to get it? If you know what you need, then your brain will figure out a way how to go out and get it. If you don't know what you need, then you'll never get it because you don't know what you need.
Right. It's
So that's,
just defining clear goals, clear benchmarks.
you have to have them. If you don't have them, then it's impossible to hit them. Right? It makes
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely.
Now, just want to put a caveat over there. You can't. All these people say, you can't advertise. You just buy a property and you flip the property, you make money. I'm just saying, you make a budget. Everybody tells you like at the end, like it's so easy at the end once you understand what to do. It's not easy to figure out your budget, by the way. It's not impossible, but you're probably going to need help. You're probably going to need to hire a professional bookkeeper to help you for 2 reasons. Number one is, I found myself personally, whenever I'm talking about my own finances, I get overwhelmed. Like that's when the anxiety kicks in and the fear kicks in and my brain shuts down and I can't think. So it's always good for me. Whenever I discuss my own money, I have my bookkeeper help me. I sit down, I have a meeting. I say, okay, where are we holding? Where are we going? What's come in? I get a little overwhelmed. I say, okay, hold on, bring me back on track. Number one is, it's overwhelming because you're dealing with your own money, which generally creates anxiety and fear. And when we have fear and anxiety, our brains, actually, it's scientific, our brains shut down. The prefrontal cortex shuts down.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is, it is hard to accumulate all this information properly and put it into QuickBooks and to get it all. So you're probably going to need a professional to help you. But even if you don't have a professional, you're not at that stage where and there are a lot of services out there that charge you a monthly fee. I strongly encourage every shliach out there to have a bookkeeping system, because for yourself, forget about for your balabatim and everything, that you should have it also, but for yourself to have it, you need a professional to help you, organize all this stuff. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's not the chad shleim shalosh. But even if you can't get a professional, at least try, if you can, sit down with your wife or yourself and try and work out be'erich what you need. At least start the process. I just want to put out there that it's not. I'm talking about it like it's easy. It's not impossible, but it's also not so easy. It's a thing you need professional. I believe for the average shliach, you're going to need professional help to help you set things up and get things organized. Once you have a professional helping you, Eventually, it becomes pretty easy. I've been using Bookkeeper for many, many years. I tried to do my own bookkeeping back in the day. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't consistent about it. I was doing it every 5 months. Now I have a bookkeeper does it for me. To ask me questions, sends me questions on things. I meet once a month. We go over the books. I just I just want to put out there that it's not like it's so easy. You understand what I'm saying? People make it sound like, all these people that are selling courses out there, just do this and then you'll be fine. It sounds so easy. Thank you very much. It's not so easy. But it's not so hard either. It's not impossible. But I do think it's some of the best money you'll spend in your mindset is hiring somebody to help you figure out your books. And there are a lot of services out there. For them, it's not hard.
Right.
But I found, for me at least, it is hard to do it myself. That's all.
Right. Right. Yeah. Important point. I just want to push a little more. So once the shliach gets through that, right? They get those numbers clear and they're committed, right, to making this work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, what, like, maybe, look back at your own experience, like once you got that clarity and now there's a gap because, we're only bringing in X amount. We really need to bring in, more or a lot more, depending on the situation. What can I do to start turning that into a reality to make, to be able to bring in the money that will make this place not only, just scrape by, but to thrive, including that the shliach should thrive.
I'm so proud to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why most of us a lot of people don't want to do their books is exactly what you said. I'm going to realize that I'm only bringing in 300,000 and I really need 450,000. Now I know I'm short 150,000. I don't want to know that. I'd rather keep living in this world of chaos. Really, that's what it is. Actually,
safety in the ambiguity.
Yeah, it's actually tzar b'alechaim. What for me to live in that world would be tzar b'alechaim. That was the worst for me when I first moved out of Shlichus. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't know how much I needed. I didn't know if a donation helped me or didn't. Obviously, every donation helped, but I didn't know how much it helped me. Even if I had money in the bank, I wasn't sure if maybe next month I'm just going to be broke. Like I wasn't aware because every Chabad house we're very cyclical, right? Like Tishrei costs you more, brings in more. Then November, different months cost more and bring in more. Some months, I don't know, like in Nissan, it's gonna be rough. Nissan, it's gonna cost me a lot, and I'm not doing fundraisers that time of the year. ER is quiet. It's like I'm gonna lose $20,000-$30,000 those months or more. Like, but that's fine because I have December and I have other months that are better off for me. So you need to know what's going on. It's tzar b'alechaim not to know what's going on. Once you know what's going on, I guarantee you, when you're going to go to that balabas that's giving you 5,000, you really know he can give you 18,000. But you're like, there's no way. I mean, when I was a young shliach, I don't know if you're talking to older shluchim or younger shluchim now, but maybe it applies to both. I was like,
Anyone.
how do you ask somebody for $18,000? I was like, how do you even get the words out of your mouth? How do I even say the word 18,000? Like, I couldn't say it to myself in the mirror. You know what I mean? Like, I was. It was like talking to me about telling me to jump over 5 meters, I don't know, 10 feet high. It was like, do a dunk.
Impossible.
Like, it's not possible. You know what I mean? But if you know the money's going to a place and you know you need it and it makes sense in your own head, then it's okay. Sveki, you have the resources, right? I'm doing the work in the field. I work for the Rebbe. We're changing the world. We're bringing Mashiach. This is our budget. We need 500,000, 300,000, 700,000, $1 million a year. Are you comfortable to be a partner at 18,000 a year? What number are you comfortable at? It makes sense. You understand?
Right.
It needs to make sense in your own head. If it doesn't make sense in your own head, it doesn't make sense anywhere.
Wow.
If it does, if it makes sense here, then it makes sense in reality. If it doesn't make sense in my own head, why should it? If it doesn't make sense in my head that you should give me 18,000, how am I possibly going to convince the donor that it makes sense in his head to give me 18,000?
Right.
I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, I don't deserve it. I don't even know where I'm going to spend it. 18,000, the guy's going to be an idiot to give it to me. Like, we can give it to so many better places. Like, but I hope he gives it to me. It doesn't make sense in my own head. So why should it make sense in his head?
I'll add to that. It's as if you're saying without words is like, don't give it to me. You
You
know,
are
I'm not
saying that without words, don't give it to me.
right.
And then if you does give it to you, you're gonna be like, oh, guilty, and you're gonna feel like he's an idiot. Instead of walking out of there feeling like this is the smartest investment this guy made because he's helping the Rebbe and he's helping Shlichas, he's bringing Mashiach, I'm gonna feel like I just stole money from this guy.
Hmm.
Like the imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
There's a lot of research out there on this is a fundamental in business. You can't hit goals unless you have them.
Hmm.
You cannot hit a goal unless you have it. So if you don't know what you need a year, you're not going to hit it unless you have a miracle. Unless somebody gives you $500,000, or but even that, you're not really even opening yourself up to the miracles because you don't even know what you need, or you know what I mean. Like
Right.
it's got to be. I used to tell you about Kalim the Tikkun. You need to have Kalim. You need to know. I need to know what I need.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
I'll guarantee you. Yeah, a Shliach that will go out and organize himself will start raising more money.
Yeah, I love
Feels
that.
stupid because it feels like, how does it help? I'm still at my Chabad house. I'm still at my desk. Okay, shkoyach. I don't know if people are listening. Shkoyach, Avi, thank you very much. Now I have an Excel file that says I'm $200,000 a year short.
Right.
Shkoyach, yay. How's that going to help me? I'm still, who cares if it's on Google Docs or if it's on the Excel, right? Or if it's in QuickBooks. I'm still bepiled 200,000 behind. That is correct. Now your brain has a goal that it needs to go after. You have a target.
Clarity.
Clarity. Your brain will figure it out. Your brain will find a way to find this. It's all brachas, all the Eibishter, it's all the Rebbe,
Right.
all the Ruchnius, right? Yes. Okay. But if you don't put a seed in the ground, you can't. You can daven all day for trees to grow. You don't put seeds in the ground, you're not going to get. Nothing's going to grow. You need to put things in the ground. You got to do things but derech hateva. Derech hateva is if you know what you need, you'll figure it out. You'll be like, oh
Well,
my God, I'm $200,000 short a year. Maybe I should do a golf day. I don't know. Maybe I should do a gala. Maybe I should do something freaking crazy because I need a lot of money. Yes, maybe you should. But you'll never think of those ideas if you don't realize where you're standing in the world. There's ways out there, by the way. We're not in shlichus anymore in the mems. You know what I mean? In the nuns, when it was really hard. We are very lucky. We're standing on the shoulders of giants. People have been out there. Chabad is a household name now. I know for me, I've been on shlichus only 20 years, but it's a huge difference where I live. Everybody I meet, the conservative and reform Jews, they've all got a grandchild or somebody that's been in the college, and they go to Chabad on campus. A big shout out to Chabad on campus. What the shluchim do there is changing Yiddishkeit. It's changing the whole, changing the demographic,
the landscape.
the landscape, literally, because everyone's having an experience with these crazy Chabad guys with the big beards, and the religious guys, and now they're realizing, oh my God, even my grandchild likes them. Like my grandchild that watches TikTok, and he's even more out there than me, and they're okay with the Chabad. It must be not so bad to go there. So it's not anymore like it used to be. You can raise the money. I don't know about big town, small town. I can only talk to where I live. I live in like a city, but there's definitely money out there. You speak to shluchim that are making it, that are doing a little better financially. You don't have to talk to shluchim that are broke all the time. Hopefully there aren't a lot of them, but I'm just saying, speak to people that are doing better in life. Like if you speak to people that are doing what you think is impossible, then you'll say, hey, if Chaim Yankel can do it, why can't I do it? He lives in a smaller town than me, or he seems to be less capable than me, whatever the thoughts are in your head. Why can't I do it? So you also got to get into your head that it is doable. It took me years to also realize that. I thought it's just I'm going to be broke forever. You don't have to be broke forever. Obviously every year, it's the business we're in, we're reliant on donations coming in every year. I haven't got it made in the shade. But I do believe that if with a lot of brachas, and if I work hard enough, it is doable. I don't have to be Shliach does not have to be broke. I don't know if this is revolutionary or even wrong what I'm saying, but you can be okay. You can live a nice life, and there's money out there, but you have to believe that you can get it, and you also have to
Shliach's
know.
problem shouldn't be being broke. Shliach's problem should be like, who's the next year that could? Yeah.
Yes, exactly, and you should have more money to do more pullahs, have more money to bring out more shluchim. Right? Like it doesn't have to be the test of Anius anymore. It could be the test of Ashiras. Halavai, halavai. But you'll ask around. There's plenty of shluchim that are not broke anymore. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, it's a wonderful thing. But you have to want that, right? You have to believe that, and you have to go after that. If you're not,
Go after the nicer bus.
go after the nice. Exactly, go after the nicer bus. Pays off the bigger salary. If you're not going to do that, if it doesn't make sense to you, I think that's the key. Look, if it doesn't make sense to you, why should it make sense to somebody else? I think it's also connected to the famous story of Rabbi Yossi Cairo, who wrote Shulchan Aruch, right?
Mm-hmm.
One night he was learning a piece of Gemara, and he couldn't figure it out. You know the famous story? I forgot who said it in connection to what, but
The Rebbe brings it many times.
Never brings about why, in which I'm not sure in connection to
Different contexts, I think.
whatever it is. The point is, he couldn't figure out the Gemara. He came into the men's bench next day. Two regular people were studying, and they said the same svara that he came up with. He was like, how did they get it right away? And then he realized, because he drew it down, the whole hard work was to draw it down into Olam Hazeh. Once it's down, it becomes available, right? It's like the same way,
Right.
Nuclear. Albert Einstein figured out the whole thing about nuclear weapons. Then all of a sudden, it's available. It's about Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile. You know the mile.
Right.
All of a sudden, everyone's running the 4-minute mile. Kids in high school today run the 4-minute mile, but it was impossible. It was considered
He broke the barrier.
Broke the barrier. So he drew it down into Olam Hazeh, right? So you've got to draw down into Olam Hazeh how much you need and that it's possible. If I don't draw that energy down into the world, then I'm talking just Ruknius over here. It doesn't exist in the world. Same thing when you want to build a building. I need to do a building campaign now. Like, it's hard. I got to find. I was speaking to a Shliach this morning. He told me about another Shliach. It's an $18 million building. I'm like, what? If he's doing why am I only like freaking out about 2 or 3 million? But there's another guy doing 18 million. Like, I should be driven to do. I'm not saying I have to do 18 million, but I should be driven to do more. I should be driven to do a bigger moised. I should be driven to do more pullers. I shouldn't be like just, okay, hopefully I'll just survive. I've got another friend that did a small little house. So at least I have a bigger little house than him, I need to get myself back into those places. All of these things I'm saying, by the way, they're all, it's avoida. It's like an emunah. You don't figure it out. Then you've got it, and then now you move on. It's like these are tools I have to work on myself personally.
Daily work or monthly or whatever that comes up. To use these ideas. I still feel insecure about my salary. I got to go back to that story. I still, there's times when I've got my budget clear. Sometimes for months I neglect it. Then I got to go back to my bookkeeper and get it clear. Like, this is not. I'm not chas v'shalom preaching from a high horse. Like, I've got to figure it out. These are just tools that I use in my life that hopefully could be helpful to other shluchim, to other people. Yeah, absolutely. I think they're very, very valuable.
Do we want to go back to end of year giving, or
yeah? Can I ask? There was just 2 questions I think I had. I wanted to clarify. Number one, it's a general question: is when you shifted that model from just like a standalone matching campaign to, plugging it into the bigger picture of the annual budget, and this is, your annual campaign for the whole year. What difference did that make? What did that change in, did that make a difference to the numbers that were coming in? Was there a measurable difference from that shift?
Massive.
Could you share?
So really, to do it justice, it's really like a whole hour conversation.
You have to another.
If you want to know just what it brought in much more money. I don't remember the project. I don't.
Right.
I don't know right now. But everything increased. Everything increased. I don't remember exact numbers and amounts.
Right.
But it's a science. You break your donors down into 3 categories. First are the big donors you're going to go to and try and get them to be matches and bump them up from 3,600 to 5,400, or from 5,400 to 9,000. You go through that whole process of the big donors. Then you go through a middle donors, people that you can ask for more money, either annually or usually monthly. That are not going to be matches. So I'm going to go, Tzviki, you don't give me anything. I'm going to ask you for $100 a month or $150 a month or whatever it is. And then there is the day of donors. That's like the lowest.
Right.
So the my love of this is it's a very organized system that Eli Rifkin set up. That I copied him at least. You're hitting all demographics of your
Mm.
donors. You're going after the big donors and your whatever big is, right? Trying
Right.
to get them to increase
Relative.
their annual gifts. Going after your mid-tier donors, trying to get them to increase, and then you're going after your people that aren't yet either monthly or annual. Doesn't matter if they're rich or poor; they're just not there yet, and you're trying to get them to give more on the day of. So instead of if I was
Mm.
doing a 50,000 campaign, I could ask them for $100 on the day of. Now, because I'm doing a $400,000 campaign, I can ask them for $500 for the day of.
Right. Right.
So there's three departments of
Hmm.
it's a science, is what I'm saying. Is it's not
Right.
just
Right.
I'm talking about it very much makif now.
Right. Right.
There's a science to it. There's a system to it. I did many years ago when I first started doing this. This is when Rabbi Dovi Shapiro from Flagstaff. I did a
Yes, we
couple
had him here
of him.
a
So
couple
he's
months ago.
actually got, I think, somewhere in the world out there in the internet or in his Dropbox. We went through this all in detail. I think we broke it up into 3 parts or something like that. We could do that another. I mean,
Okay. Cool.
we could.
Maybe we'll have a follow up.
Um,
Um.
I just don't want to make it sound like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
Chad Shleim Shalosh.
Right. 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 Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
everyone's like, "Oh my god, I heard this podcast. This guy said, oh my god, and tons of money came in, and
Right.
then I don't even know where to start. You know, like this is all makif. What we're saying, I just want to be very clear.
Right.
This
Right.
is all very makif. So far, the only one practical thing that we've spoken about is creating a budget. That's a very practical
Right.
thing, and something
Right.
you should go out and find everyone should go out and find a. Not telling anybody what to do. If you would like, you should find a bookkeeper and figure that out.
Right.
How to do the end of year campaign. That's a bit more detail oriented.
Right.
I will tell you that I can give you 2 anecdotal stories about end of year campaigns. One is that I after I did the Dovi Shapiro end of year campaign things, another Shliach called me up in January afterwards, and he told me, I want to thank you. He said I raised 60 or I don't know the number was $60,000 or $70,000 for his
Wow.
end of year campaign that he never would have done. He never used to do an end of year campaign.
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly how he did it, and I don't know what his budget was. But I would assume that the 60,000-70,000 that he raised was either anywhere between 10 and 30% of his budget. It
Wow.
was a bunch of years ago, so it was like back when maybe a budget was
Right.
5. Everyone's got different budgets, but in California at least. So he raised 60, 70. It was a lot of money that he raised that he wouldn't have raised. And another shliach that I know, they did it also, and they brought in new money that they never would have
Wow.
uh,
Beautiful.
brought in before. So it's in the tens of thousands of dollars you're going to bring in.
Right.
In a
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Bez Hashem to everyone to make it a little bit clear. So, how much percent of the campaign are you bringing in before the day of through like the asking the first tier and the mid tier?
Oh, now you're asking.
Lefierach,
So
there's
hard
a
to explain because I have to explain the whole. A lot of it's like
committed.
committed, yeah.
Okay, I mean to say in commitments, how much is of that of the general goal is committed
So now
before
we're
you're
giving most of it.
most of it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not raising all of it on the day of. You're doing most of the
No
work.
ways. No ways. No, it's already going on for 10 years. So people are expecting phone calls from me in December for their gifts. People already are locked in for next year because they know I'm relying on them.
Right.
Um, it's part of a bigger picture.
Right.
That question is
Right.
more like if I'm doing a matching campaign this year and I'm trying to raise, let's use a practical number, $54,000. So practically I got to go find 36,000 and I want to match it with 18 on the day of, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the numbers are. I don't know how to figure it out. 30s, whatever, 2/3 or 3/4, whatever.
Right.
That's what your question really is. Like, but mine is, it's a whole different.
Right. You're talking. You're speaking to people about the whole annual gift for the year.
Yeah,
So
a lot
it's
of people don't even want phone calls anymore. A lot of them are just like, hey, Zwicky, just checking in. Are you good for next year? I wanted to thank you for your contribution. I wanted to make sure that for next year, either you're locking them in again for next year, like, hey, it's Vicky, just confirming that everything's good, or I'm asking for an increase for next year. It just depends on the donor. It depends on the situation. But I'm locking you in. You understand? I'm like, I'm touching back. I've had a bunch of donors. They're thankful. Thank you very much for checking in. I appreciate you don't take me for granted. And yeah, I'm good for next year. Let's keep going. I'm not saying you have to do with every donor. Maybe sometimes it's better. It's like there's no rules.
Case per case, right?
Maybe there's, it's like when I first started going on shidduchim, you ask before you go on your first shidduch, you're like, do I open the door? Do I close the door? Do I order a soda? Do I not order a soda? Do I let her order a soda? What do I talk about? Do I talk about chinuch? Do I talk about chinuch? At the beginning when you first going on, you're like, buddy, go on the shidduch. You'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta go. You're gonna go and you're gonna figure it out. There's no rules. Same thing with
paint by number.
The same thing with fundraising. I can't tell you, call every guy. Maybe it doesn't make sense to call some guys. Maybe they'll cancel you. Maybe some guys you should call a month after. I don't know. I don't know the rules. There's klalim and then there's the exceptions.
Specifics. Right.
Yeah, specifics, exactly. So so for me, it's more of touching base with my donors once a year, making sure that they're okay, making sure that I'm locking them in again for next year. Maybe I'm asking for an increase. It's not usual that I'm asking for an increase. I have to still figure that out. And maybe I'm not hungry enough. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. I'm not asking for an increase.
As Hashem, when you have your new building, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, you need more money, exactly. So I'm always trying to figure out how to how to increase people, but sometimes maybe you can't. I don't know. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. So it's hard to say what I get committed. Even if I'm not getting new money, I'm still locked. To me, there's a big advantage or big whatever, big
value
accomplishment, right, in locking them in for next year. I don't want to have to freaking be, all the time be thinking about it. Are people really going to give? Or they're not. When you first start fundraising, is the guy really giving? Is he giving again? I don't know. Maybe it was just for Purim. He gave $1,800 for Purim. Shliach. How do I know I'm ever going to get that money again, ever again? So now I'm having him for Shabbos again, and you end up spending all your time with the same 30 people. You need to lock them in so that you can go think about new people, right? If you're not thinking about new people, you're not raising new money. I remember when I was first on Shlichus, I was scared of calling everybody that I knew because I knew that at the end of all those phone calls, I'm still not going to have enough money every month. So I was scared of calling it every time. So somebody told me, I can't remember who told me, a vart. I don't know if it was a vart, a story, a maisa, something they heard. They said that you have to call everybody, empty your tank, and then you'll find new people.
Interesting.
So you have to empty your tank. So what you're doing is by locking people in for next year, it opens your mind. Now I'm calling you because I care. By the way, another very important point is once I've locked you in, I'm actually calling you because I care about you.
Right. You're not like secretly trying to see if you're
like, hey, you want to come to the Friday night dinner? We should really get together for a coffee. And then it's like 2 weeks after I invite you for Friday night dinner, I'm like, hey, it's Vicky, I need to talk to you about donations. It's like it feels like it feels not
genuine
because be'emes is not, right? But if you lock people in, it's really genuine after that. I've locked you in. Now, yes, I need to maintain the relationship, but when I'm actually calling you to maintain the relationship, I'm actually calling you to maintain the relationship. I'm not calling you because in 3 weeks I need to call you for a donation. I'm calling you because I actually want to wish you a happy birthday. And by the way, it takes all the pressure off you and off the donor. Because otherwise the donors are like, oh my God, the rabbi's calling again. Damn, is he calling me for money again? I don't know. And even when you call and say happy birthday, like, is he setting me up for another ask? Whereas you lock them in, you really are calling to you. It takes a lot of pressure off the shliach, and it allows you to actually have much more healthy relationships with people. Like I know I had this for years. It was uncomfortable. They didn't know if I was calling for money or not. And I'm like, no, I want to meet with you once a year, talk about the money, and then it's done. Like it's more comfortable for you. It's more comfortable for me. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was really, really, really great. I think really valuable. A lot of shluchim will take, practical and advice and inspiration put into practice. Um, maybe we'll have to have you again to really get down to the science of it, like you said.
It'll be fun.
Um, but
Pleasure.
you
I
know,
hope it's been
just thank
helpful.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, really, really has.
I
Thank
hope
you
it
so
helps
much.
anybody with their end of year campaign. Maybe we should change the topic.
It was
Change the
good. It
topic
was
from
good.
end of year campaigns to something else. But
I think you touched on very, fundamental um, principles that are negate to the whole fundraising topic. So I think that's
yeah, it
the
wasn't yeah, exactly. So it's not. It wasn't so yeah. It could be still be helpful for end of year campaigns. A lot of these ideas,
right.
if you if you change if you're able to get the right headspace, it'll change your end of year campaign. It will help your Mishloach Manas campaign. It will help your calendar campaign. It'll help all of that. So I just want to wish all the shluchim
Absolutely.
out who's listening to this Tzlacha Rabba in your holy work, and
Amen.
Tzlacha Rabba to you, Tzviki, with what you're doing to help shluchim.
Thank
May
you.
you
Thank
have
you.
any
Amen.
success. And we should see Mashiach now. We should be reunited with the Rebbe. Yerushalayim, Ira Kodesh. And then the challenge will be just to go up in Ruchnius. We're not going to have to worry about
Kol
these
madanim mitzim kafir. Gashmis will
exactly.
be in
It's going to be
abundance.
gabaldic. But this is the avodah of today, and it's nothing. I think just to conclude again is we should not look at it as something dirty or bad at all. This is mamish part of the avodah. It's like this is part of the avodah of galus. Like there's nothing dirty about asking for money. There's nothing wrong with asking for money. We are the best place somebody can give their money is to Chabad. Seriously, because we're bringing Mashiach, and it's gonna take away. Nobody will have to give money anymore to diseases. Nobody will have to give money anymore to buy drones. Nobody will have to give money anymore to
Hmm.
all the things that we think are these very important causes. You're not going to need it because Mashiach's going to be it. But B'poel, the Rebbe tasked us with bringing Mashiach. That's B'poel our job. I mean, that's the way I see it. That's our job, right? The job of a Shliach is to bring Mashiach. That's the Rebbe's whole the big push, especially the last years, and always. Um, so we're trying to bring the ship home. That's our job, and then everything will be resolved. But you can't do it without guilt. It's just and there's nothing wrong with it. This is the derech ha'ilam. Maybe we should set up this way in the world. You're doing them a favor by them giving you money. Hopefully we use it. Hopefully we have the clarity to use it in the right ways and to also enjoy it a little bit. You don't have to live, in with difficulty. And it's a very very important part of shlichus. We shouldn't feel like it's a bad part or dirty part, or it's a beautiful part of shlichus, and it's actually the key. It's the shar, through if you figure out your fundraising. Imagine I came to you and said, "Hey, Tzviki, or to a shliach, how much money you need? 700,000, $1 million? Okay, I'm giving you a blank check. What would you do next year?
Hmm.
You'd have so much free time. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You could start doing real things. So be your own malach. You know what I'm saying? Be your own. Go
Get to
find,
that place.
yeah, go find that money so that you can do better things with your day than sit around worrying all day about how to fundraise and how to get the money. It'll always be a worry. I'm not saying again. I don't want to ever come across like I got nothing figured out. Trying my best like everybody else, but um, but be your own. Don't rely on. Go out there, find the money, then go do better things with your day. If that's go and actually you can do the programs that you want to do. You can actually reach out to the people you want to reach out to. You can do those pullers that you thought you could never do. All you have to do is find the money, and then you can go do it. Say that.
Amen. Beautiful.
Hope it's
Thank
been
you,
helpful.
Avi. This has been great. And Bez Hashem, maybe we should shower you and your family, your shlichus, with brachas.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All the
God
best.
bless you,
Bye bye.
buddy. Thank you, Twiki.
Thank you.
Say